Hi, everybody. I'm going to do my best to record as fast as I can and at the same time try to block out some sound that's happening in my house right now, which is why I'm wearing this microphone to try to keep my volume contained so you can hear me clearly and also to try to block out some of the outside noises. So, my apologies for not being able to get this done in a more appropriate format. But anyway, this is a recap of what we talked about earlier today in class. Today is Monday, January 8th. And it's the 4 broad areas of language arts, which, this PowerPoint has been made available for you since last week or since Friday, I think. Unfortunately, I'm feeling as if we're not reading when we come to class. And remember, that was something I talked about from day one, that I wanted to make sure we were reading prior to coming to class. So today it felt like I was really stretching to get you guys to think of language in the relationship to these areas, but then also to think of how to apply this. And there's so many activities that are available for you in your book, your textbook. The caterpillar finger play that I did came from your textbook. And then I gave you a handout. So hopefully everybody is taking advantage of the handout that I gave you. I tried to label and identify skills and sample activities through here. And remember, I said you're not going to find something word for word verbatim that aligns with your theme. You have to know how to adjust what you're learning to fit your theme. So once you have an understanding of the areas of language, you now take this information and apply it to your theme. So what we talked about today was that when you go to write a developmental skill for your lesson plan, you want to first identify what area of language you're going to be working with. Is it promoting speaking? Is it promoting listening? Is it emergent reading or emergent writing? Then once you identify that area of language you're going to work in, you're going to be very specific with the skill, which is how you're going to make it happen. So how are you going to promote speaking? So like earlier today, we talked about having the children respond to open-ended questions, because that was something that I demonstrated in our circle time today. We also talked about having children retell the story. So then for promoting listening, I think we mentioned listen to follow directions, or to, oh no, it was listen to retell the sequence of the story. Okay. And then if you look at your resource today for listening, so your textbook talks about listening and different skills of listening on page 179, talks about auditory perception, auditory memory, auditory association, and rhyming skills. And this one talks about appreciative listening, purposeful listening, discriminative listening, creative and critical listening. And then to give you some examples of activities, listening to a puppet. So if you were doing a puppet show and the children are listening to the puppet talk, listening to and following directions, discriminating sounds, like when we did the Silly Sally. If we said Silly Sally dance, which sounds sound alike and which ones were sounded different. So Silly and Sally sound alike, but dance sounds different. Hearing rhyme sounds and matching objects. Hearing rhyming sounds and matching objects. But anyway, there's a lot of different ideas in the handout for skills. So all of these can be used for skills, because the skill is basically telling what it is you're going to focus on. What do you want to develop or enhance or introduce the children to when you do this particular activity? So that's your skill. So these are the 4 areas, and when you do your lesson plan for the skill, you're going to identify which area. So speaking, listening, reading, or writing. And then you're going to tell what the focus is. How you're going to make that skill happen in your activity. So this is the Preschool Learning Foundations, and the link is here that takes you to the California Department of education. And then this is the link that takes you directly to the language and literacy foundations. And I think it's important to take a look at these because it lets you know how to see what is expected of children during a particular age group. So this is preschool learning foundations, and you can't see the whole page, so I'm going to just move this over so you can see. Okay, so this is the table of contents on the side, so you can click to language, and then here at the top of the page you can enlarge your page. Okay, and then we're going to look at, there's a lot of background information you can read, but this is where, like, I wanted to show you where you can determine what is expected developmentally from a child at 48 months, which is 4 years of age, and 60 months, which is 5 years. So these are like learning goals. So like this right here, children understand and use language to communicate with others. This is just like saying promoting speaking. And then use language to communicate, or you can say use language to describe, or use language to request something. So you don't have to write all of this. You can pick what are you focusing on in that 10-minute experience that you're having with the children. So this is for a 4-year-old, and if you see a 5-year-old, they're doing the same thing, but they're extending on their understanding and use of language. So it should be more advanced.